Now, of course, sometimes things just go wrong in boating. And I really do believe a big part of the problem sometimes is anybody in the US basically can get their hands on a boat with an open checkbook, go out there and have a good time. But people buy a boat and think it's going to be just as easy as driving a car, when in fact it's something completely different, and today we'll talk a little about that. Welcome back, crew, to this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. Now, with many of the things that have gone on over the past several years, a lot of people got into boating. We saw a massive surge in boat sales and new people deciding they were going to get out there on the water. And one of the main reasons I think this happened were obviously due to restrictions that were in place, limiting things that people could get out and do. And one of the easiest things these people thought of was, hey, we can go buy a boat with no training, no experience, and just get out there on the water, thinking, how much different can it be than trying to drive a vehicle? I mean, I've got a driver's license, surely I can get out there and drive a boat. Which again, I believe led a lot of people to the misconception that this was going to be an easy transition and something their family was easily going to get out there and enjoy. But many people in boating learned the hard way that boating's a lot more difficult than driving a car. In fact, just starting the day with boating is a lot more difficult than walking down to your garage, putting the key in the ignition, opening the garage door and going. I mean, in fact, many times if you're just trying to take the car out for a spin, you can be out the door in under a minute. In most cases in boating, especially if you've got to tow down to a boat ramp, or you got to get all your stuff together to get out on the boat, and if you have a family where you've got to round everybody up and make sure they have everything, many times it may be upwards of an hour from the moment you leave your house until you're actually out there on the water. And then once you get on the water, who knows what kind of delays you might hit as well, kind of like this crew's finding out when they wound up hitting the sandbar. Now, the biggest differences between driving a vessel and driving a car is a car is pretty predictable. It's got 4 solid tires that are sitting on a solid surface, and typically it's going to go exactly where you want it to go if you put it in the right direction. A boat, however, many people learn this one the hard way as well, doesn't always do exactly what you think it's going to do in certain situations. Kind of like this crew here who thought they were finally off the sandbar, but of course another boat comes by and winds up waking them right back onto the bar. Boats are going to deal with a myriad of different aspects that are going to control the direction that the boat wants to go in. Unlike a car, just because I point a boat in a certain direction doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go that way, especially in some slow speed situations. Just because you've got the wheel turned in a certain direction on a boat doesn't necessarily mean the boat's gonna immediately go in that direction. Everything happens just a little bit slower on a boat, especially when it comes to turning, and the main reason is because of the way we turn a boat compared to a car, which is another one of those things that quickly can throw people off when they first get into boating and they think it's gonna be just like driving their vehicle. Your car has its wheels in the front of the vehicle that turn to steer the vehicle in the direction you'd like to go. A boat, we steer from the stern or the rear of the vessel, which is going to give it a different driving dynamic and different characteristics when you're trying to make turns, especially at low speeds. As for a car, again, if our hood's pointing in a certain direction and the tires are straight, we're going that way. But because we're pushing from the stern of the vessel, our bow's at the mercy of however the stern's going to turn it, and things don't always go as planned. Another thing that winds up happening in boating that you don't see a ton of in cars, well, you can't really tell what's always underneath you on a boat. Sure, you can look forward and see the road, but in boating many times, if you're looking forward, you may see the water, but you may not see how deep or how shallow that water is. You're also going to deal with tides, which will come in or out. So when you park your car, you typically think, I'm going to walk back out and it'll be parked right where I left it. Well, a boat will probably be in the same spot you left it, but not always in the same position or situation you left it in. Now, of course, one portion of boating that people really did think was going to be exactly the same as driving a car, well, that was the driving the vehicle part. But many did find out that it's a whole lot more difficult than you think to tow and launch a boat. I think many people got behind the wheel thinking it's going to be just as easy as going to the grocery store on a Sunday. The reality is it's nowhere near as easy as that. There's definitely additional steps you've got to take, and if you miss one of those steps, things will go wrong. Thanks for watching, crew. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever seen anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here, just like Sans Gats, Wrightsville Beach Diaries, Bagpipe Miami, Lexus Miko, Chris Rubzeman, and Kurt Massinello did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.